So you first have to tell me the craziest helicopter story.
Okay, so the craziest helicopter, well, there's really two. But one, we were actually in the Niagara Gorge flying with Niagara helicopter at the time. This was one of the first H Factor episodes that we did. And we were literally in a helicopter flying underneath power lines, so low to the water that the water was busy blowing up onto our equipment. That pilot was just crazy. He had like over 35,000 flight hours, and he was a Swiss military pilot. That's where he started. So that was the craziest one, but incidentally enough, the safest one. But the other one that wasn't supposed to be crazy was the least safe, and it was a brand new A-Star helicopter. We were in the desert filming Adaptive Athlete with motocross, and we told the pilot, hey, just take it easy. And this was just at the dawn of drones. Drones were not really practical yet. Using nice cameras were too heavy for the drones still, and so forth. I told them, then don't go too crazy. We just follow, just track along with the rider, and we'll get our shots. And then once we've got those wide shots, then we'll get close and fly a little lower and everything. I'm watching the monitor, and the next thing I know, I just like feel the helicopter almost like sliding sideways, because they took a turn as the bike went under us and then turned. And I feel the whole helicopter tilt, but you're inside the monitor. And once, as a director, once you're in the monitor, this is where you are. You shut off to the world outside because your job is to find out that what the camera is capturing is the right image. And I just feel that there's like some G-force. And then the next thing I know, I'm looking at the camera. I'm seeing these tumbleweeds coming past the camera on the monitor. And I look outside the helicopter, and it's right on eye level. Cacti and stuff is right on eye level with me. And then this helicopter just like pulls up like this, and there's just alarms going, and brand new helicopter, and the pilots are cussing at each other and pointing at stuff on the dashboard that's all red, and jets that went into 110% torque and stuff, and then they cut us off. We couldn't hear what they were saying at that point. And so what happened is that the helicopter essentially fell through what's called a smoke ring. It's when there is turbulence, and it basically just lost lift and just basically fell through a hole in the sky. And we landed very closely after that just to check everything over. And there are these sensors at the tail rotor, as big as my little finger, to sense for ice buildup. And those were bent flat, but the tail rotor did not disintegrate. Okay, so I don't know if you've seen what happens to a helicopter if it's overtorqued like that without a tail rotor, but it's a pretty gnarly.
I've never been in one, but I've seen scenes of it. It doesn't look good.
So we were really close to death actually at day, but just as things are, you figure out, okay, this is what you dealt with, this is what's happening in the situation, and we didn't die. Okay, we're not getting back into that machine, and found a way to get back to our base camp and continued working for the rest of the day. But that day, I sort of made a decision. So, you know what? If we could use technology to not have to put lives at risk, then we should definitely do that. And actually, since then, drones picked up, and we've never done since then. It was just drones going forwards at that point. So,
what a story! And that reminds me of how we have so little visibility of what happens in the airspace. I remember going through flight training, and the instructor telling me that if you could food color the sky, you would never fly, because the currents that happen in the air, the mechanical and non-mechanical turbulence mixed together, the closer you get to the ground, the weirder it becomes.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I remember him reminding us regularly, because we were learning to fly powered paragliders. And he would always tell me that height is your friend. Altitude is your friend. The closer you get to the ground, the more dangerous it becomes. Right. Because if you're in a parachute, I'm guessing the same in a helicopter, if you have the height, then you have room to
adjust. You can auto-rotate, you can do whatever you need to.
Yeah. More dangerous it becomes. Yeah. So that makes sense. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're not doing that anymore. But one of the things that I know you've learned over the years, and you've demonstrated over and over again, is that you're able to assess a situation and then immediately look at the whole situation from a distance, right? Raise your perspective on what's going on.